let's briefly touch on Penn State's trip to Philadelphia. Of course, talking about Penn State basketball's trip to Philadelphia, they beat Michigan 79-73. Kind of came from behind. I watched the second half of the game, um, but my take has nothing to do with the game. And maybe this is because I'm a Western-ish PA kid, um, by nature. I don't give a shit about the Palestra. I don't. I do not. I know that's strong language, but I don't. I, it means nothing to me. I'm sorry. And I'm sure Dana O'Neill, if she listens to this episode, will be very grumpy with me because I know she loves that place. Um, but I just, Penn State's got, this is I think the other problem with it is Penn State has two places to play basketball in State College, two. And yes, they are having a return to rec game, but it's essentially the same arena. Maybe it's a recruiting thing, but I don't know. Like I did like Mike Rhodes said after the game that he wants to do games in other cities in PA, Pittsburgh being one, Hershey being one. A Giant Center game would be great. Invite kids from the hospital and like make it the Thon game, make it like a community type day game. And I think that would be a lot of fun. Um,
Pound
I
game, that's an
just
inspired idea down there. And they played at Hershey Park Arena in the 70s
mhm.
on feels like a regular basis, a couple times a year, couple seasons in a row, something. Um, it's funny, I was going to ask you about the Palestra game when I was listening to it before they came back, because I was listening to Steve Jones and Dick Girardi lamenting the first half play. And while I love their play-by-play and appreciate what they do, the worst thing they do is predict and speculate. Like, well, they need to be within 10 by the half, or it's just not going to be possible. They got to be less than 10 by the half, or it's not possible. Well, guess what? They weren't, but yet they still won. Right? There's that kind of stuff that they have seen enough basketball to know teams go on runs and dry spells that when they're like, oh, this team's on pace to score 70 points today, and Penn State's now only got on pace to score 60, that's going to be trouble. Well, yeah, no kidding if they score the same amount of points for every minute for what remains of the game, but that's not how the game works out. So why do you say that to me? So I was grumpy about the Palestra and was going to ask you about the value of it. So now you answered that question.
Yeah.
And it's a business question too. Like I would love to know the cost benefit, right? Like how you're going to ship everybody down there. The cheerleaders are down there. You're renting the facility for the day, or at least you're getting on the schedule. You've got to truck your whole stuff down there. The play-by-play, I mean, the PA, Jeff Brown, and to treat it as yours. That's not
Yeah.
super expensive. But is it worth it? Does it get that many more
They sold out
likes,
though.
impressions, all that? I know.
Like that's what I don't understand about it. And like that goes back to the Western PA thing, right? Like
Well, Philly's a basketball town. Pittsburgh isn't.
right. And living in Altoona, growing up in Altoona, we did not have an NBA team. Philly people, pretty much anybody east of State College, you start to even in State College in itself, you get people that are Sixers fans, and then as you get closer to the city, I just maybe that's the appeal of why they go there is okay, like I just think about the typical Delco bro who is a Penn State football fan, but
Oh,
a
good Lord.
Villanova.
We're bashing the Palestra. We're going down to the
I'm
pros. Oh,
sorry.
Lord. This
I'm sorry.
Darian's talking.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying, like I don't get it. I
You
don't.
have friends from Philadelphia?
Yeah, and okay, maybe this is a generational thing too, right? Like, but I don't even get that. Like, one of my friend, I mean, I've been to the Palestra. I went to see Penn State play LaSalle at the Palestra, and I was like, this place is a dump. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but it's just I mean, it was designed by the guy that built or designed Rec Hall, and it's a larger Rec Hall. And I understand there's been important basketball milestones that have happened there allegedly. I have no clue. I have no context of them. So why does Penn State force it down my throats when they've got like that was the biggest takeaway for me, right? When we were watching the game, when I was watching that game, I loved how the fans were on top of the basketball court. Felt a little high school basketball courty to it, you know, and like that good high school when Altoona and Hollidaysburg play each other, State High and Altoona play each other.
No,
I'm
we're
all
complaining.
right.
We're
No,
complaining. Altoona and
I,
Hollidaysburg, the games in the Palestra.
that's what I'm comparing here. Listen, and it's just like there's a good environment.
It was the
Why not?
Saturday when when students weren't here. It was the comeback to school. No, it was the Sunday. It was the comeback to school Sunday.
Okay, fair.
Students may or may not be here. That's when it has to be every year. I'm with you a little bit. But I think that's the weekend it has to be. Like if you have a game that's around this past weekend every year, that's when you play that game in Philadelphia because and they have that's usually the first
Yeah.
Saturday in January is when they've done it because the students aren't here and you're probably not going to get that atmosphere and you might as well go to Philly. I get it. Like I don't know if like the number of impressions and certainly they sold out obviously, but like what's the split on that? Like, do they make the money on that?
Mhm.
Like, is it like again, that kind of information would help me to say, you know what, those Palestra games are worth it. And I don't know how you can. They won. It was a comeback. They're telling the story. Word white, good visuals, whatever else. So I think it was a thumbs up all the way around for him. So yeah, I'm not going to bash the Palestra. That's for sure. You can be you.
Okay, sorry. I don't know. I've never understood.